Using AI to help you do the research for your content is going to revolutionize how you get about this process. It's so quick, it's rapid fire, and I figured I would show you how I do prep for content that is more blog format or when I'm doing a response to some sort of current event, news or some celebrity craziness or something. I want to show you how I do my research. So I'm going to do my dictation like I normally do so you can see how that goes. It's going to record here and then I'm going to, just kind of let you see how I talk to my AI. I'm using ChatGPT for reference. This is primarily what I use still. I do have a Claude account, but I go to Claude when I have things that I'm writing and I really want some support in thinking through some of the best uh, the best way to convey certain things. But ChatGPT is my go-to for research. Okay, so here we go. So as always, I like to hit Win H. Let me stop it, and then let me get started. I'm planning to do a post on the infamous prenuptial agreement, period. Throughout time, comma, they have primarily been utilized by men marrying women who are of a far lesser financial status than them, period. They have, comma, historically and traditionally been used by men of large financial standing to keep women away from their assets, period. In probably the last couple of decades, maybe even 3 decades, comma, we see them being used by women more and more as women gain ground on men when it comes to financial standing, period. In the news recently, singer Cher announced that she will be marrying her 39-year-old boyfriend in May of 2026, and she will not be asking him to sign a prenup, period. Also in the news right now, comma, singer Candy Burris and her husband of, I think, 11 years announced that they are getting a divorce, period. She had a very strong prenuptial agreement in place, comma, has a very strong prenuptial agreement in place, comma, including having a camera crew record her then fiance saying that he would sign and that he wasn't under any force to do so, period. However, he is still currently planning to contest the prenuptial agreement, comma, if we are to believe the rumors, period. I want to do a post talking about the prenuptial agreement and whether or not every marriage should have one, period. I'm wondering if it just makes sense to do it in order to eliminate any confusion if a marriage should need to be dissolved, period. I'm wondering if, wait, no. I'd like some background information on the prenuptial agreement, period. How long have they been around, comma, is there a first famous case that really brought this into pop culture sphere? comma, give me some stats about other countries and if there's similar agreements used, and give me any sort of information regarding others who believe that all marriages should have them. And also, I'd love viewpoints that say they are damaging to a new marriage or a relationship as it heads into marriage, period. I want to provide a balanced view, and I'd love the audience to think about the perspective that a marriage is a contractual agreement. And similar to the Brene Kennard situation in North Carolina, in which the third party was asked to pay for quote unquote breaking up a marriage, comma, is there a case for the prenuptial agreement as a standard, period. Okay, so I'm going to change some of this because I see it has, this is what I said in the last video. Sometimes it can get the words wrong. This is a new thread. As another thread that I primarily was using to build out show content. I don't know why I keep saying show, to build out video content here. And I feel like it would just instinctively know what I was talking about. But I had to move to a new thread because it was jamming up and it was delaying so much. So I'm going to just correct this. Let me see, Brittany. Because it should be able to go back to reference once I mention this name. Who I'm talking about. Okay. In which she, as a third party was asked to pay for. Now, you know what? It should have known what I meant by this. Breaking up a marriage. Okay. Okay, I think this is enough. Let me just take another glance. Candy Burris. Okay, where's Cher? Went recently. I'm going to say 80-year-old Cher. Okay, I think this is enough to get us started. Let's see what it kicks out. So what I'm looking for here, just for reference, I did all this because I wanted to give me the background on all this stuff. I wanted to give me some historical information, any sort of published news reports, anything like that, and also any blogs or news articles, or maybe there's some Psychology Today articles, just whatever it can find. It just helps to condense this down. So I'm going to run this one first, and then I'm sure I'll have some follow-up questions. You can see how I handle that as well. Okay, so it's thinking now. It says, here is a balanced, deeply researched, pop culture anchored overview of prenuptial agreements tailored for your post and perfect for your channel's vibe. I'll give you history of prenups, first major cases and their role in pop culture, international comparisons, stats and modern trends, arguments for making prenup standards, arguments against, including emotional and relational critiques, how cases like Cher, Candy Burris, and the Brene Kennard alienation of affection case. Okay, so see here, I didn't even mention that, but it knew what that was because it's scrubbing the web, and then also the history of my chats here to be reminded of what I'm talking about. A clean, punchy narrative you can use directly in your post or video. Okay, so let's see what it says here. Prenuptial agreements, a balanced breakdown for your post. How long have prenups been around? Prenuptial agreements are much older than most people realize. Ancient roots. Wow, ancient Egypt 2,500 to 3,000 years ago, marriage contracts were written to protect a wife's dowry and outline property after divorce. Ancient Hebrew law, the Ketubah, served as a financial contract guaranteeing support if the marriage dissolved. The Roman Empire, prenup like arrangements existed, especially among wealthy families navigating inheritance. Very interesting. I probably will ask it for some sort of source or um, someplace it can point me to where I can grab like a photo or a screenshot of a website or something to kind of, to kind of bolster this. I'm not just taking what this thing says and going with it because it could have pulled this from anywhere. European tradition. By the Middle Ages, wow, contracts determining financial obligations before marriage were common among noble families, largely to secure estates, dowries, and bloodline wealth. The U.S. and modern Western prenups. The first widely recognized American prenups date back to the 19th century, but they were not standard or widely enforced. Prenups became Prenups became legally mainstream in the U.S. only after the Uniform Premarital Agreement Act in 1983, which standardized how prenups are validated across states. Wow, now that's interesting. That's very interesting. Just in 83, so we're really only talking about, what is this, 32 years ago? Then what first brought prenups into pop culture? Several high-profile celebrity cases drastically shifted public awareness. Early cases, Lee Marvin and Michelle Triola Marvin, 1976 to 1981. She claimed he verbally promised lifelong support. Though not a prenup case in the modern sense, it introduced the concept of contractual expectations between partners and helped normalize the idea that relationships could have enforceable financial terms. That's so interesting. So this is something I'd love to put in the video. So I would want to ask it, hey, give me some background about this. Like, what is this? Like, what are we doing here? Who is this? I'd really want to know some more about this. Oh, wow. Donald and Ivana Trump, 1990 divorce. Their prenup fight, multiple drafts, revisions, and public disputes were arguably the case that pulled prenups into mainstream pop culture. Wow. It left people asking, should everyone protect their assets like the ultra rich? Steven Spielberg and Amy Irving, 1989 divorce. Their alleged napkin prenup because she had no independent counsel. Oh my God. What kind of napkin prenup, sis? No. Oh, he probably had her nose wide open. He was like, I'm gonna put it on this napkin here. And, you can put this in your photo album back at 89. She still walked away with $100 million. That seems pretty good to me. This case is still quoted by family lawyers as a turning point in understanding how a prenup must be executed to be enforceable. Wow. These cases, okay, so this, you see here, this is some good stuff. This is the kind of stuff you want to get. Now, let me say this. The way you heard me ask it, enter my prompt. I use always the dictation just to make it easier. If you're having to type this stuff, it's going to be way more cumbersome to get through it. You just want to use your dictation so that you can just think about what you want to say and just get it down and then go back and clean it up. That's going to save you so much time rather than you sitting here. I type pretty well. I have a high typing rate, but not everybody does. And even for me, if I'm having to type it, it can become a little bit tedious. So trust me, use the dictation. That's going to save you a lot of time just to ramble it all out, just drop it all in here and then let this thing sort through it. It'll ask you some follow-up questions, but I use mine so much, it kind of knows what I like. That's why it was able to pull the alienation of affection thing, as I mentioned a couple minutes ago. All right. And then it has some global perspectives here, which is really good. France, Germany, China, India, United Kingdom, main areas that people might want to know about or that other have industrialized countries and such that would have a similar sort of approach to what we use, but different in their own way, you know? Look at it, because like here in Germany, prenups are normal among middle-class couples. Arrangements often outline asset division, pensions, and spousal support. See? So I want to use a lot of this. So then what I'll do is I can ask it, okay, let me go back and ask it for some sources. Let me show you how that works. Okay, modern trends it has here. This is why cases like Candy Bird, strong prenup, Mary J. Blige. Wow, I even mentioned this. Kelly Clarkson. Wow. Okay. So this is really good stuff. I'm really loving what I'm seeing here. When you do this, it gives you a way to bolster, especially if you're not talking about, and no offense to anybody who is, if you're not just talking about cameras and settings, every video you post, and you're going deep into pop culture and such, you want to make sure you're doing research before you just put something out here, or people aren't going to trust what you're putting out. You know, you want people to feel like they can trust the information that you're sharing, something that whether it's a tiny nugget of information that maybe they had never heard before, or whether it's something that is brand new. Like maybe for a short, I'll mention something about the fact that in Germany, they're normal among middle class people. You know what I mean? So that's the kind of nugget, you know, maybe I'll ask it, hey, give me a punchy intro. I want to give a factoid about the fact that in Germany, they're standard amongst middle class folks, you know, like, so let's not act like it's a strange thing for somebody to have a prenup here in this country. And that, of course, if someone is that much more financially established before they get married to someone who isn't, then of course they want to protect their assets, you know? So all this here, and then it has more good breakdown. Okay. All right, so good. And then, okay, this is really good stuff. So now I'm going to ask it though, because I don't see any sources in here. So let's see what's at the bottom though. I don't know what's down here. Sometimes it has some of that, you know. Okay, let's see. Okay. I hit the wrong thing. Okay, so this is really good. I like that it always gives me a little bit of shorter graphic friendly summary. SEO optimized caption, hashtags, a carousel post online. That's interesting. Okay, I'm going to say, let me use dictation. I really appreciate this, period. This is tremendously thorough, period. I will be able to use so much of this to put this post together, period. What I would like though is some links to some sources for some of the information you shared, period. I'd like to get screenshots if possible to share because I believe it creates more credibility, period. All right. And so now I'm going to hit this. Let's see what it does. Okay. Oh, wow. I'm sorry, guys. I always am so amazed. I've been using this thing for, I think, 2 or 3 years now. And it still amazes me how quick it is, how powerful it is. You know, I always say here, I know people have a lot of problems with it, but I have now, guys, over 80 videos on this channel in 2 months. Now, of course, I only have 34 subscribers, but that's going to turn. Don't worry. I need you to focus on the content. And I know that, again, I'm not talking about cameras and settings all day long and how to vlog, but I promise you, this content here is going to eventually take off because people need some alternatives. And I know this instinctively. So this is why I'm taking my time doing the research for these pieces. I'm trying to put up a lot of evergreen content that people will appreciate well into the future, you know? And so this piece, I'm sure there's other people who have done similar pieces, but I'm going to put my own spin on it. And I wanted to make sure I'm doing the research very thoroughly. So you see here, there's some really good links here over to some sources that I'm absolutely going to pull from. It even has the House of Lords here, library. This is crazy. I guess for the UK. So I'm just going to pull some of this stuff. And then, let's see, law firm blogs. This is good. So it's even telling me why these are useful. And normally it'll say this is a really good idea. Let's see what is this? Absolutely, here are several reliable sources, articles, legal histories, law firm summaries that support many of the historical, legal, and social trend claims I made. You can open them, take screenshots, and link them in your post for credibility. I tried to pick a mix, some that cover ancient history, some that cover modern law and social trends, and some with statistics. So again, you have all these great things here, and let's see, wait, what to watch out for. Some of the history sources are not peer-reviewed academic papers. So I could even mention that in the actual video, in the post. But this is, I'm going to just take it for face value. Use ancient history sources to open your piece to show prenups have existed far longer. So it's saying how to use this in your post or video. Use legal history and statutes to support claims about modern enforceability and evolution. Use trend, except if you like, I can pull up 8 to 12 properly formatted source links, complete with publication date, author, and short quote that you can easily embed into your post as evidence. You want me to build that list for you now? I'm going to say yes to this. I think this will be helpful, and it'll probably actually, I know it gave that earlier list up there, but sometimes I like to go ahead on and just tell it yes for something like this. Yes, please build the list. Okay, I just went ahead and typed this because it's so quick. All right, what is this? Okay, let's see. Oh, wow, this is excellent. Excellent. Oh, wow. Okay, so you see here, what it did is it pulled a quote from this. In ancient Egypt, marriage contracts outlined the property each spouse brought into the marriage, as well as the financial responsibilities of each party. This is good. Okay. So that's it. This one is longer than I intended. It even has the publication date on some of these. The Library of the House of Lords, UK landmark case, has this on here. Anything to bolster what you're talking about so that you're not just rambling on these videos, And it doesn't take much. Do you know, though, how much time it would have taken for me to do this without this thing? And it dug up and was able to, like the Trump thing, it was able to give me some sources that I hadn't even really thought about. Pew Research Center. I saw a New York Times article. All this is going to be great for using to bolster this video. So I hope this was helpful. I hope it gave you some ideas for ways that you can use it for your own needs. I will say here over and over again, AI is not going anywhere. Use it to your advantage. As I said before, also, there was a young woman I saw just maybe a week or two ago who lost a job, and mostly because of AI, and ended up using AI to create a whole business for herself. When she started outsourcing her services, the same services she was providing at a job, she then had AI help her build a sort of capability briefing that she was then able to share with other firms to say, hey, this is what I did in my previous life. This is what I can do to support you in your efforts. And she got a job. She got a contract. And then from there, she's now building a business. So I feel like absolutely, I can't say enough. It's going to be majorly disruptive. It already is. But you can use this to your advantage. You can absolutely use it to your advantage. Thanks for stopping by here. If you have questions, you want me to test something else, I'm going to show some travel videos, how I use it for research for travel. There's some ways you can use it to do shopping for you that I'm going to show on here soon. The possibilities are endless. The possibilities are absolutely endless. So use it, my friends. Don't resist. The future is here. Peace.